Conference Center, located in the heart of Sonoma.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN Digital Talk Radio, the original Talkback with yours truly, Chuck Wilder. Got Paul Stern up there near the network, near the Hollywood Hills at the network. And we are live across America on this radio station or cable system and around the world at crntalk.com. Today's guest, Dr. Tom Borelli, Director of Free Enterprise, National Center for Public Policy, Senior Fellow with freedomworks.org. His question, why has the government declared war on the middle class? John LaBoudiere, former U.S. Congressman, co-host of Fox Television Political Insiders. And boy, do we have some stories to talk about with him. In the second hour, Jonathan E. Moore, attorney who practices constitutional and administrative law before federal courts and agencies, author of Restore the Republic, writer for News with Views. His latest, Will the Real Hillary Clinton Please Stand Up? Well, in the news, Lynch confirmed as Attorney General. The Senate voted to confirm Loretta Lynch as Attorney General by a margin of 56 to 43. And with her shady past, just what we need, the progressive resume goes on. Speaking of a progressive resume, another shoe has dropped on the Clinton Foundation and on Hillary Clinton's pragmatic rollout. Newsweek Rory Ross reported the largest individual donor to the Clinton family business has conducted trade with Iran, perhaps in breach of U.S. sanctions. Ukrainian energy Mongol Viktor Pinchuk has connections to the Clintons that go back almost a decade, and financial connections to the regime in Tehran that may go much further. The fourth richest man in the Ukraine, Pinchuk, owns Interpipe Group, Cyprus Incorporated manufacturer of seamless pipes used in oil and gas sectors. Newsweek has seen declarations and documents from Ukraine that show a series of shipments from Interpipe to Iran in 2011 and 2012, including railway parts, products commonly used in the oil and gas sectors. Among a number of high-value invoices for products related to rail or oil and gas, one shipment, $1.8 million in May 2012 for seamless hot work steel pipes, and destined for a city near the Caspian Sea. By the way, both the rail and oil and gas sectors are sanctioned by the U.S., which specifically prohibits any single invoice to the Iranian industry worth more than $1 million. In other words, Interpipe should have been slapped with penalties and sanctions for its operations with Iran. Pinchuk's company has a U.S. subsidiary, which means that U.S. sanctions apply across the entire organization. Now, let's get to this. The agency for imposing penalties for sanction violations in these cases is the State Department. And who is in charge of the State Department during this period? None other than Hillary Rodham Clinton. Pinchuk, among an elite few dumping tons of money into the Clinton Foundation. There are checks worth millions of dollars from company executives, billionaires, foreign organizations, among them the Ukrainian Viktor Pinchuk, Saudi Mohammed Al-Mahmoudi, Rylan Enterprises, which is led by the Chinese billionaire Wang Wenliang, member of the Chinese parliament. The contributions are legal, but funds from individuals or entities that have considerable diplomatic or economic clout to defend in Washington expose Clinton to suspicions of conflict of interest, since the Democrat gains directly from the success of the foundation, which has carried her name since 2013. Even as far back as 2008, Hillary Clinton, becoming Secretary of State, Pinchuk was one of the larger donations to the foundation, between $1 million and $5 million. Pinchuk coughed up at least $8.6 million in 4 years, but that was just a down payment for what was planned to be a bigger donation for the Clinton Global Initiative. Between 2009 and 2013, including when Mrs. Clinton was Secretary of State, the Clinton Foundation received at least $8.6 million from Victor Pinchuk's foundation. And it just goes on and on. In 2008, he made a 5-year, $29 million commitment to the Clinton Global Initiative. Oh, and it doesn't stop. You know, she's been running officially for president for less than 2 weeks, but she's already facing what many are calling her first big test. The new book, Clinton Cash, it's set to be published May 5th, puts her family's charity under the microscope. Author Peter Schweitzer, hey, he's a former President George W. Bush speechwriting consultant. Well, he claims to tell the story of why and foreign governments and businesses helped make Bill and Hillary rich. Schweitzer alleges in the book that Hillary Clinton traded favors for foreign entities while she was Secretary of State in return for speaking fees and donations to the Clinton Foundation. According to the New York Times, the alleged deals include a free trade agreement in Colombia that benefited a foundation donor, developing projects after the Haitian earthquake that were funded by the Algerian government. You remember when we talked about people lining up outside the Bill Clinton library there? It looks like those double trailers parked side by side, protesting about the earthquake donations. Now it's boiling to the top. And more than $1 million in speaking fees to Bill Clinton from a Canadian bank that was involved in the Keystone XL pipeline. Well, it doesn't stop there. The headline in Pravda trumpeted President Putin's latest coup, its nationalistic fervor reaching an era when the newspaper served as the official mouthpiece of the Kremlin. And here's the headline: Russian nuclear energy conquers the world. The article detailed how the Russian Atomic Energy Agency, Rosatom, had taken over a Canadian company with uranium mining stakes reaching from Central Asia to the American West. The American West. But the untold story behind that story is one that involves not just the Russian president, but also a former American president and a woman who would like to be the next American president. Yep. At the heart of the tale are several men, leaders of the Canadian mining industry, who have been major donors to, oh, you already guessed it, didn't you? The former President Bill Clinton, Hillary, and his family. Members of that group built, financed, and eventually sold off the Russians a company that would become known as Uranium One. Beyond mines in Kazakhstan are among those the most lucrative in the world. The sale gave the Russians control of 1/5 of all uranium production capacity in the United States. What? In the United States. 1/5. Since uranium is considered a strategic asset, the implications for national security, the deal had to be approved by a committee composed of representatives from a number of United States government agencies. And among the agencies that eventually signed off, are you ready for this? The State Department, headed by Hillary Rodham Clinton. And the Russians gradually assumed control of Uranium One in 3 separate transitions. A flow of cash made its way to the Clinton Foundation. Uranium One's chairman used his family foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2.35 million. By the way, they were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement that Mrs. Clinton had struck with Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. But not on this one. And shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire a majority stake in Uranium One, Mr. Clinton, guess what? He got a $500,000 Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank. And who approved that speech? Hillary Rotten Clinton. All right. One more little note there. Let us be fair and balanced. Now, Peter Schweizer, okay, the guy that wrote this book, Clinton Cash, all this stuff that's coming out. Well, guess what? Let me find the good part that I know you're waiting for. This hasn't quieted the left-wing clamor that Schweitzer is simply out to get Hillary Clinton. Maybe this will. Schweitzer is now working on a similar investigation of Jeb Bush, and he's going to publish that book of this summer. What we're doing is a drilled-down investigation of Jeb's finances, similar to what we did with the Clintons, in terms of looking at financial dealings, cronyism, who he's been involved with, Schweitzer stated, and we found some very interesting things. So if you're still one of those that say, oh, Hillary, we got to vote for her because she's a female. We want a female president. We don't care what she's done. She can have my firstborn. She's a female. Let's vote for her. Now you've got it. You just wait until that book comes out on Jeb Bush. Yes, sir. That's all they're going to hear in that report. Well, an American and an Italian held hostage by Al-Qaeda, as well as 2 Americans working with a terror group, were inadvertently killed by U.S. drone strikes earlier this year. Took them a while to let you know about it, but anyway, President Barack Obama says he took full responsibility for the counterterrorism missions and offered his grief and condolences to the family of those hostages. Documents obtained by the Daily Caller and interviews with American veterans are revealing a shocking government program. The Department of Veterans Affairs is disarming America's veterans by getting them placed on the FBI's criminal background checklist. Now, what it is, the VA sends veterans' personal, medical, and financial information directly to the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, which can then seize their guns in home raids. These veterans, they say, deemed mentally incompetent or financially incapable. Did you know that if you're not financially stable, that the Second Amendment is now taken away from you? That's what it says. They can seize their guns once they get the information from the VA if they are mentally incompetent or financially incapable. Wow, your government working for you. Oh, and by the way, just in time for Earth Day yesterday, as the alarm bell went off, warning global warming, late April starting to feel more like midwinter for many parts of the United States. The Great Lakes, Northeast, woke up to snow yesterday on Earth Day. It was actually the 4th day in a row, the wintry weather. And since Sunday, it has snowed in at least 23 states as far south as New Mexico. And, yes, that is in the United States, New Mexico. That all from the National Weather Service. And, of course, the big volcano exploded. Yes. All right. Hey, let me see. Dr. Tom Borelli, John Laboutier, and Jonathan Emord, all coming up.
Geico is available 24/7. Unlike Billy, my boyfriend, who is apparently available 24/never. And with Geico's claim status update, after I report a claim, I receive update alerts to my Geico app. Did you hear that, Billy? Update. Alerts. I sure would like to be updated on why you can't return a text. Maybe I should just be dating Geico.
Claim status updates just a few taps away on the Geico app.
Hi, this is Warren Eckstein. Get the jump on fleas before they get the jump on you. Cedarside Original from Cedarside.com is a must-have to eliminate fleas and ticks. Cedarside.com's products are made with 100% natural cedar oil and are safe for kids, pets, and adults. Cedarside's original organic bug spray repels and kills mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, flies, ear mites, mange, and more. Order some today. Go to Cedarside.com. Use coupon code Warren at checkout to get free shipping or call 800-842-1464 and mention my name, Warren Eckstein, Cedarside for people, pets, and premises.
CRN travelers, relax at the beautiful Fountain Grove Inn and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California. Come to quality and come to luxury. Experience the newly renovated guest rooms. They're generously sized and they're decorated in the Tuscan tradition. They have great, incredible pillow-top mattresses, luxurious linens, and down-filled comforters. The Fountain Grove Inn also offers complimentary Wi-Fi and internet access. There's warm cookies and coffee every evening in the hotel lobby, and you can visit the newly remodeled Equus Restaurant and Equus Lounge with its new wine bar. It's the ideal place to relax and enjoy a glass of wine and watch our What's Cooking on Wine show on CRN with host Larry Van Alst on Wednesdays. It's the Fountain Grove Inn, Hotel, and Conference Center located in the heart of Sonoma wine country. It's easily located in Santa Rosa off the 101 Fountain Grove Parkway exit. Call 707-578-6101. That's 707-578-6101 or visit fountaingroveinn.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Join me live to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. This month, our Dragon Cleanse LX is on special. This has been studied for its extraordinary ability to bind a wide variety of toxins in the gastrointestinal tract, especially those that have dicarbonyl chemical structures or that bind to calcium-dependent binding sites. Research suggests it doesn't bind beneficial nutrients because of its unique structure. With the ever-increasing amount of toxins in our food and our environment, here's a practical, inexpensive way to mitigate the problem. Buy 2 bottles and get the third one free. Call 800-370-3447. That's 800-370-3447.
Listen to Helpline daily at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
Chuck Wilder, CRN, and let me tell you about my guest, Dr. Tom Borelli, Director of the Free Enterprise Project of the National Center for Public Policy Research. He is a senior fellow with the Freedom Works. That's freedomworks.org. Dr. Borelli served as a science fellow for the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Science, Space, and Technology during the 100th Congress. And Dr. Borelli, welcome back to the show, sir. How are you doing?
Great, Chuck. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has, and we got to start doing this more frequently and see what well, you know what, but it seems like there's always something that we have to talk about that may not necessarily be
true.
Good news. Yeah. You know, back in 2008, when Senator Barack Obama was campaigning, making all kinds of promises, there were a lot of them that he didn't come through with, thank goodness, but he told the San Francisco Chronicle in an interview, and you have it here in a report, under my plan of cap-and-trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket. And as I understand, Doctor, the cap-and-trade thing was just not going to go over too well, so he found out that he could use the Environmental Protection Agency and start just making all kinds of new rules with his pen and phone. And but sure enough, he sure has worked at it, hasn't it? And it's coming true.
Oh, absolutely. And as we know, President Obama is not shy about using his executive power. And to go over the timeline here, he did promise to make electricity prices skyrocket through his cap-and-trade legislation. That legislation passed the House of Representatives in 2010, but it died in the Senate. Shortly after following the defeat of that legislation, Obama, in a press conference, said that there was more than one way to skin the cat, meaning there's more than one way to drive electricity prices higher. And he's now just having the Environmental Protection Agency issue rule after rule that targets coal-fired power plants. And the net effect of that is that...
Well, that's his number one, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead.
That's his number one target. So, over time, I think by 2016, over 400 or 400 more coal-fired units are going to be closing. So through regulation, through the Environmental Protection Agency, he's executing his will, because remember, the will of the American people was not to do this, not to have a cap-and-trade type system, but the EPA has what they call a clean power plant rule that has been proposed, and it may be finalized this summer, June, July, and the numbers on that in terms of the impact on the economy are horrific. Double-digit price increases in, I think, 43 states, billions of dollars of cost to the economy, and of course, skyrocketing electricity prices harm those with fixed and low incomes the most. So in a twisted, ironic...
Doctor,
go ahead.
You would think, here we have America's first black president. Unfortunately, the black population in America, unemployed, is the highest of any group. And then it comes to this EPA regulations that the black community is suffering the most. Right now, there's 39% of America's energy supply is from coal industries. And what's he going to do? He's going to put a windmill or a solar panel, and he thinks that's going to solve everything? That's what he would like to do. That's his green energy plan. But you point out that there have been, and pardon my French, but a hell of a large amount of jobs that have already been lost within the coal mining industry. And what figure do you have?
Well, the figure that I've used in my piece is 50,000, and I believe that's since 2007 or 8, and that is from Duke University study. So this is, the plan that he has been executing. It's going to lead to higher energy prices, greater job losses, particularly in initially the coal industry. But, Chuck, as you know, as electricity prices skyrocket, if you were the head of a multinational corporation, knowing electricity prices were going to go higher, where would you build your manufacturing plant? In the United States or a place where electricity is cheaper, India or China? So clearly, the executive...
Boy, and you wonder how many of these Congress critters, have connections with little people in China, and it goes back and forth. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll continue in just a moment. Dr. Tom Borelli, he's a senior fellow with freedomworks.org. That's freedomworks.org. And we'll be right back. More on this story. Don't go away.
This is the Mike Huckabee Report for Thursday. I'm Mike Huckabee. A lot of parents are bracing for a huge expense. Not college, the prom. Details next. Looking forward to your tax refund? Well, so are identity thieves who steal refunds by filing fraudulent tax returns. Last year alone, they stole more than an estimated $5 billion from hardworking Americans just like you. Once an identity thief gets a hold of your tax forms, watch out. They know that virtually all the information they need to steal your identity and even your life savings is right there. Help protect yourself with LifeLock Ultimate Plus. LifeLock Ultimate Plus provides protection for your Social Security number, bank accounts, investments, even the equity in your home. And while no one can stop all identity theft and nobody can monitor every single business, LifeLock Ultimate Plus provides their most comprehensive identity theft protection available. If you're filing taxes this year, especially if you're filing online, do what I did and get LifeLock Ultimate Plus. Visit lifelock.com/Huckabee now or call and use promo code Huckabee to save 10% on your LifeLock Ultimate Plus membership. Call 1-800-240-LOCK, 800-240-LOCK, 800-240-LOCK. Be sure to pick up a copy of my latest New York Times bestseller, God, Guns, Grits, and Gravy. Available at your local bookstore or online. The average teenager will spend over $900 on the prom on everything from dresses or tuxes to limos, meals, flowers, tickets, and an after party. It's $59 less than last year, but there's the cost of the promposal, the new fad of asking someone to the prom by staging an elaborate surprise stunt and recording it for YouTube. Teens now spend an average of $324 on that alone. It pressures their would-be dates to say yes instead of running for the hills. That's a total prom outlay of $1,243. And families who make over $50,000 a year will spend just $799 on average, while those who make less than $25,000 will spend $1,393. It's the parents' way of saying, we can't afford college, but we took out a student loan to send you to the prom. The federal government launching an initiative to use data sharing on the Internet to make government more open, transparent, and responsive. But a new Pew survey found that, boy, do they have their work cut out for them. Just 5% of Americans think that the federal or state governments are very effective in sharing data with the public, and only 23% of young people trust the federal government to do the right thing all or most of the time. Not surprisingly, Democrats are twice as likely as Republicans to say that, but even among Democrats, only 31% are that trusting. Maybe if people at the top of the government weren't touting their transparency while rejecting freedom of information requests, defying subpoenas, taking the fifth, and erasing their email servers, we might trust just a teeny bit more. The good news for the government? Trust in the feds to do the right thing are, most of the time, is 9 points higher among young people than it is among seniors. Gee, remember how great it felt to be that young and naive? We've launched the Mike Huckabee Exclusive, a members-only service with unique content and commentary available only to our Mike Huckabee Exclusive members. Each week you'll get insider videos, stories not heard on the regular Mike Huckabee Report, and a weekly recap of the big events of the week with my personal commentary. To subscribe, go to HuckabeeExclusive.com. And finally, liberals in Beverly Hills discovering there's a heavy price to pay for electing politicians who refuse to build a dam or reservoir. This week, tough new water restrictions hit the lush green neighborhood of millionaires. They're surely aghast to learn that they're banned from filling swimming pools and putting too much water on their perfect lawns because it'll be a $1,000 fine. Of course, for some Beverly Hills residents, the solution is simple. Fish $1,000 out of their sofa cushions and fill the swimming pool with Perrier. And this is the Mike Huckabee Report.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder here with my guest, Dr. Tom Borelli, Director of Free Enterprise Project, National Center for Public Policy Project. I think you're still with that group, right?
No, actually, it's now with FreedomWorks. I'm the senior fellow at FreedomWorks.
Okay, you know, yeah, that's
okay.
That's my mistake. And I should have known that when I got a different PR group contacting me. I said, hey, wait a minute. You know, that's not you-know-who. Yes, all right. So we'll take care of that. You know, you say in your report, Doctor, that for an administration that constantly positions itself as a protector of the middle class, two things. Why have they decided war on them, and why is nobody discussing it? I mean, you and I and a few other people are, but it's really under the radar, isn't it?
Yeah, sadly, it really is under the radar. And, you know, what's really twisted about this is that, you know, President Obama is undertaking a policy that will, as you mentioned before, Chuck, that will preferentially harm blacks, and blacks are the ones who overwhelmingly supported President Obama in both elections. And the reward for those votes are higher electricity prices, and they have the lowest average income, so that the black community is going to be harmed the most. Again, I think, you know, President Obama himself, he himself is an elite. He enjoys the company of the Hollywood elite. And I believe there's really a cultural war between, you know, those that have, those on the upper scale. We have Tom Steyer, the billionaire, former hedge fund manager. And, you know, he's leading his climate change agenda. He's a big donor to the Democrats.
You know, I'll tell you, You talk about Steyer, he had this humongous campaign, which you kind of touch on, but it also had to do with the XL pipeline, which is energy. And now we find out that Hillary has a connection with a guy who had a connection who was also contributing to that and getting speaking fees from her husband. Boy, and when you talk about the blacks, yeah. And when you mention, Doctor, about how, well, the blacks had a lot of faith in Obama. He's the first black president, and he should have come through for him. But he didn't, and he's not. And now we're going to face the same thing. Well, it's a woman president, and she'll come through for us. Huh? Well, you know what? She's talking about the middle class, and she's just one of you. Oh, my goodness. It is, the tangled web what was it you said?
Weaved.
Web we wove? Yes.
Right.
Weaved. All right.
Yeah,
they're woven
exactly.
it. What would it, the present tense would be weave. Yeah, okay, you got it right. Weaving. Absolutely.
Well,
I'll tell you.
It's all about them. And that's one of the challenges we face, is to educate people to really what the real story is with respect to everything on paper sounds good. Let's fight climate change, but when you look at the consequences and the cost and the benefits, it's really all pain and very little gain in terms of the temperature of the globe.
Well, and you've got the big question, is there anything that we, Congress, can do to stop all of these EPA regulations? We had the 2010 midterm elections. We've got a new president going to be elected coming up, but then people still don't feel too secure, I don't think, and especially after these 2010 elections.
Well, yeah, listen, this is a process, and it's going to be an ongoing process. I mean, the good news is, Congress is more Republican hands, and hopefully they're more concerned about reining in the EPA than allowing them to run wild with regulations. And right now, the Republicans are afraid to stop Obama by defunding parts of the EPA. So it's really going to take the next president in the United States, to do that. And I think what's encouraging, though, Chuck, is I think the energy debate is going to be a front and center debate in the presidential election. And I believe whoever the nominee is from the Democrat Party is going to be promoting climate change agenda and supporting EPA regulations on power plants. And I would bet whoever the Republican conservative person is would be against those rules that, as I mentioned before, have huge costs and very little environmental climate change benefit. So the choice will be in front of the American people, and it's up to us and at FreedomWorks and you and your show and other great hosts to really educate people on that stark choice.
Oh, yeah, because you can't believe everything, they're selling to you. And, look at yesterday was Earth Day, and they're shouting all about global warming. And we had 23 states, Doctor, that had snow.
What can you do?
Maybe there's a higher authority up there.
Exactly. Just sending a message.
Maybe there's a higher authority up there, that are trying to tell us something. Let me ask you real quick, little bit time here, and I was noticing that not only can they keep up with you on freedomworks.org, but you're a contributor for, Conservative Review,
yes,
Town Hall, The Blaze, The Daily Caller, Newsmax, DaneenBorelli.com, Real Clear Politics, and so many others. So you're definitely doing your part, and I want to thank you very much for all of that.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity coming on your show, because the more people we reach, the more people we can inform, and the better leaders we can get.
And we've kind of touched on it, Doctor. It's going to be very, very important whenever they get down to the final two and the debates start. And that's when you've got to start, weeding out what's the cloudy message you're getting and what's the clear message you're getting. And propaganda, I'm telling you, it's the other side. They're very, very good at it. They're good at selling their boy, I'm trying to find the right word here.
Yeah, you had it, propaganda.
How's that?
No, they can.
So be very careful.
Look at Obamacare, right? We can lie and not be held accountable.
Yep, absolutely. And with all this stuff going on with Hillary, and now, Schweitzer, he's getting ready to write a new book. It's going to be coming out this summer, and it's all going to be about Jeb Bush. So, they're going to get their time at the bat, so to speak. But I bet you that it's not going to be as much as they have on Hillary.
Well, again, using that State Department post and destroying emails, and husband Bill getting huge speaking fees, with countries that have business and needed approval from the State Department. That's you can draw a lot of dots and draw one straight line on that one.
That's the biggie right there. Iran, her responsibility to shut that down, and what's she doing? She's helping them build it against the sanctions, against Iran. If that's not the downfall, then, boy, I'm telling you, she shouldn't be elected just for that, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to let you go now, sir, and I know I held you over a little longer than normal,
fine.
And I certainly appreciate it. And if the listeners want to keep up on what you're doing at FreedomWorks, all they have to do is go to FreedomWorks, that's with an S, .org. FreedomWorks.org. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Chuck. Hope to speak with you soon.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So getting a little, telephone problems there with Mr. John Laboutier. Boy, this guy, John, normally when I get him on, I'm always saying, why didn't I put him on for an hour? And I want to just say a little bit about John because, he's a writer for Newsmax, all right, and he's got Boots Blast. That's sort of like his blog. And most importantly, you can watch him on Fox's TV Political Insiders. And now what he is doing, and by the way, that's 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. But what he has done, which had just started today, he is starting to write a commentary for The Hill, thehill.com. And since I don't have him, I'm going to read part of what he did here. Just came out today, the coming GOP demolition derby circular firing squad. See, so now we're not just talking about the all this stuff that Hillary's doing and all this. Nope. John dives into the GOP, and he says with the announcement 2 weeks ago that 4 super PACs, headed by the mysterious Robert Mercer from Long Island, New York, had donated a stunning, are you ready for this, $31 million to Senator Ted Cruz, Republican Texas presidential campaign. A new era of GOP primary battles has launched. In the past, the GO establishment wing always handsomely funded their candidate. It was always the conservatives who were underfunded. And thus, the primary outcome was preordained. After the initial dust-up in the Iowa and perhaps South Carolina, the establishment money wore the conservatives down, ultimately prevailed in a war of attrition. Well, this is not going to happen in the 2016 election cycle, says John Laboutier. Nope. We are about to witness something we have never seen before. A full-on, well-funded on both sides, nuclear war inside the GOP, pitting the establishment, mostly former Governor Jeb Bush, versus the Tea Party, Cruz, Ben Carson, and others, versus the neocons, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, versus the Libertarians, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, versus the hybrid Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, who has both establishment and Tea Party support. Now, I haven't heard anything about, who, Mike Huckabee, because he's still got to, wave that American flag and say, look at me, here I am, and all that stuff. Now then, all of them are going to have millions and millions of super PAC dollars to spend. And you know what that means? It means that a campaign consultant will have plenty of money to do what they do best. And you know what that is? Going negative. And that means by late this summer, when the televised GOP debates begin, the negative ads are also going to commence, and the targets are predictable. Walker is today the unquestioned leader in the race. He is ahead in both Iowa and New Hampshire. He draws supports from both the establishment and the Tea Party, and he's going to be in the crosshairs of both the Bush team and the Tea Party group of Cruz, Carson, former Senator Rick Santorum, and anyone else who lays claim to that vote. And expect both sides to go after Walker big time, try to reduce his support. And by the way, watching that carefully will be the Ohio governor, John Kasich, who is posed to join the race, but knows that Walker has to deteriorate in order for there to be room for another Midwestern GOP governor in the crowded field. Now, and I'm going to be talking about this one here with my good friend Dr. Kevin Coach Collins tomorrow. Walker is being backed by the Koch brothers and their network of supporters and donors, a very, very considerate access for the Wisconsin governor. And you know, squeaky Harry Reid, oh boy, does he hate the Koch brothers. Oh, they're worse than Hitler, according to Harry, I guess. Rubio, who did very well in his announcement speech, subsequent TV appearances, has yet to score with the GO primary voters in polls in Iowa or New Hampshire, or nationally, for that matter. Could it be that a very young-looking Latino poll who talks about his immigration heritage and was in favor of a pathway to citizenship, talking about amnesty, before going 180-degree switcheroo, is the wrong fit for the GOP primary voter, which is older, overwhelmingly white, against amnesty, and not particularly sympathetic to the classic immigration success story? Time will indeed tell, says John Laboutier. So each faction, armed to the teeth with millions of dollars, will go to the attack in hopes of reducing their opponents and thus capturing those precious voters in a multi-candidate field. Bush and Cruz go after Walker. Paul goes after Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina. Everybody goes after Bush, Santorum, Carson, and Cruz. They go after each other. Rubio goes after Bush. Now the problem is the dirty little secret of negative campaigning. Yes, those negative ads do work, but they also rebound to the detriment of the candidate that's doing the negative attacking. In other words, when you go negative, your own negative ratings go up. And that's the price you pay for trying to destroy your opponent, instead of focusing on positive, uplifting, inspirational messages. You know, I read that and I'm wondering, let's see, we're going to talk about Hillary, so let's find a positive, uplifting, inspirational message. I'm still thinking. Well, anyway, John says this is going to be a total mess. There's two other things to consider. The late entrant. Could there be a candidate who we're not yet talking about who could wait a bit, watch this circular firing squad destroy itself, and then come into the fray? And then there's Hillary Clinton. Without serious primary opposition, and as long as she doesn't self-implode, she ought to be the Democratic nominee in 2016. If the GOP destroys itself in the circular firing squad analogy, she's going to profit. The Republican nominee will be carrying huge negatives out of the primary, exhausted, overexposed, and perhaps broke for a while Clinton will be sitting there with that little cat smile and $2.5 billion with a B in the bank. The shame of it all is that a Republican can win in 2016, but the path to victory is not through negativity. All right, John Laboutier, that's what he wrote today at The Hill, thehill.com. We'll be right back.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-351-8614. That's 800-351-8614. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-351-8614.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson. Attention men who've taken Androgel or any other testosterone therapy products. Androgel or other low-T products have been linked to heart attack, stroke, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, even death. Scientific studies indicate that the use of testosterone therapy products may double a man's risk of heart attack. If you or a loved one took Androgel or a testosterone therapy product and suffered from a heart attack, stroke, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, or any other cardiac event, you might be entitled to financial compensation. You have rights, and you need to let us fight for your rights. And you pay no fees unless we win. So call the tort attorneys right now. 800-557-7921. 800-557-7921. That's 800-557-7921. Cases may be referred to participating law firms in your jurisdiction.
Geico Motorcycle presents Reflections from the Road.
Let me tell you, the road is a much more relaxing place since I switched to Geico Motorcycle Insurance and started saving money. With that taken care of, now I can think about deep, important things. Like how come it's a pair of pants when there's only one of them? A real brain teaser. But hey, at least saving money with Geico Motorcycle is as easy as pie. What does that mean, anyway?
Geico Motorcycle Insurance. See how much you could save.
Called the Oprah of radio by her listeners. Award-winning host Dr. Pat Baccili is blowing the doors off of traditional talk radio. Get ready for an energizing delivery and powerful interviews with leaders in the field of human potential. Dr. Pat's fresh, new perspective on living life full out has catapulted her show to the top of talk radio. Tune in and Dr. Pat will help you thrive instead of merely survive. Visit thedrpatshow.com.
Listen to Dr. Pat, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder here, and boy, if you're out in California, you don't want to miss this story that came across. As the headline, Venice, California Neighborhood Council, and a responding 12-2 vote, has approved the allowance of female topless bathing at the legendary Venice Beach. You can hear the stampede now, right? Council expressed that it supports women being affordable the same rights as men to sunbathe topless. According to LA Times, the meeting focused on the issue. The council concluded that the neighborhood is a safe haven for liberal views and free expression. LA City Council Mayor Eric Garcetta will have the final say in the matter. And the Venice Neighborhood Council aims to make it easier for women to bare their breasts rather than having to journey overseas to the Italian Riviera. So I'm telling you right now, if you've got any kind of commission in, parking lots, right, public parking there, buy one of those public parking lots in Venice. It's going to be a moneymaker. Legal and illegal immigrants, story out today from Center for Immigration Studies, will hit a record high of 51 million in just 8 years and eventually account for astonishing 82% of all population growth in America. Congratulations, King Obama. You've done it. A report from the Center of Immigration Studies that analyzed the statistics says by 2023, 1 in 7 U.S. residents will be an immigrant, rising to 1 in 5, 2016, when the immigrant population will total 78 million. The surge in immigrant population, both legal and illegal, threatens to slam into the presidential campaign as GOP candidates move to figure out what their position is, and the president tries to use these executive powers to exempt some 5 million illegals from deportation. These numbers have important implications for workers, schools, infrastructure, congestion, and the environment, said Stephen Camarota, the center's director of research. They also may have implications for our ability to successfully assimilate and integrate immigrants. Yet there has been almost no national debate about bringing in so many people legally each year, which is the primary factor driving these numbers. And those numbers are likely to shake up Washington's political debate over the 12 million illegals in America. The expected 70,000 expected to pour over the border this year, and the 4.4 million legal immigrants on a State Department waiting list who have relatives or jobs in the United States. A SkyWest Airlines flight to Connecticut diverted, descended steeply, made an emergency landing in New York yesterday after 3 passengers lost consciousness. That's right. Flight was carrying 75 passengers, departed from O'Hare International Airport, Chicago, bound for Bradley International Airport, Windsor Locks, Connecticut. It landed at Buffalo Niagara International. SkyWest spokeswoman initially reported 1 passenger lost consciousness. Let me get to this other part. Yeah, here. For nearly 8 minutes, the plane descended at a very steep incline, dropping as fast as 7,000 feet per minute, according to the flight tracking service, Flight Aware. Now, when you hear about a plane, losing 7,000 feet every minute, straight decline, if you're on there, you're kind of wondering, is this another co-pilot suicide? Wow. Scary stuff going on. Hey, listen, I've got Jonathan W. Emord. He's the author of Restore the Republic, writer for American Justice columnist, USA Today magazine, News with Views. His latest article, Will the Real Hillary Clinton Please Stand Up? All right, be right back.
Because that was your theme. Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio show sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear, high-definition digital sound?
Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio's 6 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all of your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before in CRN HD. The difference is amazing. Catch your favorite political hosts like Dennis Prager, Tom Hartman, Barry Farber, and so many more. Entertainment and lifestyle programming like The Robert Conrad Show, The What's Cooking Show, and The What's Cooking on Wine Show, all in true CRN HD audio. Sports, business, travel, food, wine, politics, there is something for everyone, and it's all available in CRN high-definition sound. Log on to www.crntalk for listings and information on all your favorite shows. That's www.crntalk.com.
The radio channels. The radio channels. CRN.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. The House committee investigating the deadly 2012 attack on Americans in Benghazi, Libya, is calling on former Secretary of State Clinton to testify next month, specifically during the week of May 18th. 2 years probation, the sentence for former CIA Director David Petraeus. He's also been hit with a $100,000 fine for sharing classified information with his biographer as she worked on a book about him. Loretta Lynch has been confirmed as the 83rd U.S. Attorney General. Today's 56-43 Senate vote came after months of delay.
Texas Republican Ted Cruz argued against confirmation of Loretta Lynch, calling her unsuitable and lawless for agreeing with President Obama's immigration policies.
We need an Attorney General with the integrity and faithfulness of law to stand up to the President.
Missouri Democrat Claire McCaskill says Senator Cruz's argument, in her words, defies common sense.
We have a new test. You must disagree with the president who nominates you.
Loretta Lynch's confirmation vote has been delayed for months, in part due to a legislative logjam over the human trafficking bill. Linda Kenyon, SRN News, Capitol Hill.
Also at SRNnews.com, President Obama is apologizing for a U.S. counterterrorism mission of drone strike that mistakenly killed an American hostage of al-Qaeda and an Italian captive.
I profoundly regret what happened. On behalf of the United States government, I offer our deepest apologies to the families.
American hostage Warren Weinstein and Italian hostage Giovanni Loporto died in the strike on a suspected al-Qaeda compound along the Afghan-Pakistan border. Closing Wall Street, the Dow up 21 points to 18,059. The Nasdaq rose as well, closing at a record 50.56. This is SRN News.
I love coming to Mathnasium.
At Mathnasium Learning Centers, we make math make sense to kids. Your child will leap ahead, whether starting out way behind or already ahead. It's how we've grown to more than 500 franchise locations. Now enrolling for summer and year-round. Call now for a free parent pack. 844-799-4999. 844-799-4999. Learn what Mathnasium can do for your child. 844-799-4999.
You're going to war.
Yes. From executive producers Roma Downey, Mark Burnett, and Eduardo Verastegui comes Little Boy.
Everybody's bigger than me.
Measure yourself from here to the sky.
Critics are raving it's uplifting and powerful.
If you have faith, you can move a mountain.
It's the new gold standard in family movies.
I'm gonna bring Dad back!
Little Boy. Written by Alejandro Monteverdi and Pepe Portillo. Directed by Alejandro Monteverdi. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters tomorrow.
European Union leaders have been holding a summit in Brussels looking at ways to stem the number of people risking their lives by crossing the Mediterranean from Africa to Italy.
There will be pledges of more resources and more naval assets to patrol the Mediterranean, and there will be discussion of targeted military strikes to destroy the boats used by smuggling gangs. Critics say it's nowhere near enough, that even doubling the size of the current naval effort will leave it smaller than it was a year ago. There are other political pressures at play. Who will offer to look after the tens of thousands of migrants who've already arrived? And how many will eventually be sent back to their countries of origin? No one expects one meeting to even begin to resolve so many questions.
But the BBC's Chris Morris says the European leaders have agreed to commit extra ships, planes, and helicopters with the goal of saving lives in the Mediterranean, where hundreds of migrants have drowned in the space of just a few days. This is SRN News. Sales of new houses cooled considerably last month.
The Commerce Department says new home sales declined by 11.4% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 481,000. This marks a swift reversal from an annual sales pace of 543,000 in February. New home sales plummeted 33% in the Northeast and 15.8% in the South last month. The West registered a slight loss, while the Midwest reported a modest gain.
SRN's Jeremy House. Government lawyers are arguing that if the man who shot President Reagan is allowed to leave a mental hospital for good,